Security at Africa's ports of entry has come under the spotlight as countries work to secure supplies of COVID-19 vaccines. Experts say poor governance, corruption and insecurity are a fertile environment for illicit activities. They say these are a threat to vaccine supplies in Africa. Let's discuss this now with Dio Gumba, a research consultant with eNCA, and he's joining us now virtually all the way from Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire this morning. Mr. Gumba, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Just an overriding question first. How severe or how grave is the situation when it comes to illicit trade and the safety of trade on the east coast of Africa?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Yes, there is a big problem when it comes to the safety and the trade, when it comes to illicit trade. It is true that many ports in Africa, especially the eastern coast of Africa, have many challenges, and those challenges date before the COVID period. And those challenges include things like corruption. There is also the sheer volume of containers that are received at those ports. And because those ports are not technologically prepared, you find that a lot is processed using the manual means, and therefore those means are not adequate, and therefore you find that there is already congestion. When COVID came, a lot of cargo was diverted to the ports, and therefore you find that whereas the ports were receiving about 80% of all the volume of trade that was passing through them, now they receive 90% and even more than 90%.
Now, with organized, transnational organized crime likely to take advantage of the corrupt activities in those ports, like a Mombasa Port as an example, it does put at risk your vaccine supplies. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. Mombasa Port is a very interesting case to study because when you look at the management, for example, there is no managing director at that port that has been able to stay for more than for over 3 years, over the last 10 years, for example. So there's a lot of interference, political interference, and what is going to happen is that the illicit activities or the criminal actors are bound to take advantage of the economies of scale. It is much cheaper to, smuggle, vials of vaccines compared to ivory, for example. It is easier to hide them in boxes, and therefore they are going to definitely try and take advantage of that so that they can get them through.
They can infiltrate fake vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, all those kinds of dangers. Very briefly, Mr. Gumba, before you go, is governance an issue, and does a solution to the threats of security in our ports in Africa lie in improving governance? Is that the only solution?
No, there are many other solutions. I mentioned technology earlier. It is important that our ports become smart ports so that, of course, even technology comes with these issues, but it is important that the ports are managed using technology so that they are able to, for example, they are able to look at more containers, be able to scan more containers, because what is happening right now, you find that only 1 out of 10 containers are scanned, and therefore it is not easy to find out what is in the others.
So you need law enforcement against corruption. You need to improve management and governance and embrace technology going forward, not just for Mombasa, but for all the main ports along the western and eastern coast and southern coast of Africa.
Yes, and one more thing. It is important that political interference is reduced as much as possible at the ports. One way of going about that is privatization of the operations at the port. Okay. That way, it would be easy for the government to do oversight while the private entity is running the port.
Thank you very much. Very good insights there from the research that you've been doing. That's Mr. Dio Gomba talking to us from Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, as some English-speaking people would prefer to call the country.